All right, so I'd like to call to order the Lower Stafford Township Board of Supervisors meeting of February 7th, 2024, and ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
One nation. Indivisible.
Thank you. All right, and with that, we move on to item number 2 on our agenda, which is a public discussion period where we open the floor to anyone who wishes to be recognized. We have one at the beginning of the meeting, one at the end. No takers tonight. All right, so moving right along, number 3, I take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the caveat that the minutes of January 2nd be amended to include Mr. Shelley's statement made with regards to the advertising of the RO zoning district amendment.
I'll second. Moved in second, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 4, committee reports. Zoning Hearing Board, Mr. Buki.
There are no applications prepared.
B, it's an easy. Park Board, Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next meeting will be in this room on February 27th at 7 p.m.
Excellent. And with that, I call everyone's attention to the bottom of the agenda where it lists all of our upcoming meetings for the various committees. So with that, Fire Chief.
I'll be here representing the fire company, Zach Blanco, Assistant Chief. In January, we responded to 26 total calls, 18 in the day, 8 at night. For those calls, 8 fire alarms, 4 dwelling fires, 4 gas leaks inside, 2 EMS assists, 2 gas odor leaks outside, 2 officer investigations, 1 appliance fire, 1 electrical fire, 1 accident with injuries, 1 vehicle rescue. 19 of them are in Lower Southford, 2 in Bucks County, 2 in Upper Southford, 1 in Hatfield, 1 in Lower Frederick, 1 in Town Benson. We provided mutual aid 7 times, received at 6. Fire police only dispatchers were 2. Total fire response, 274 personnel. Average firefighter per call, 10.54, and we were in service for 13 hours and 30 minutes.
Excellent. Going off his report for one moment, Mr. Chairman. Joe Horwanko from the fire company was nice to send to me. We've been tracking this. The Montgomery County Commissioners passed a real estate tax relief bill for volunteer firefighters where they will earn certain points for response to calls and can receive a percentage discount on their real estate taxes, 25, 50, 100, depending on how much activity they have. In some discussions I've had with a few of the fire company, I think it'd be a good idea if we look to that ordinance and maybe mirror it for our township taxes as well. I'm going to present something that I'll put in writing to all of the board and the town and staff so we can take a look at that. But I think now the county has one of the struggles has always been who's eligible. And it seems like they've come up with a system, a tracking point system that can be mirrored and will be used countywide. And that would make an equitable way to go about doing it. I did also receive from Hatfield Township, they have a similar ordinance that not only handles real estate taxes, but they also have a provision for earned income tax. Because one of the issues you run into is some of the younger firefighters may not be real property owners. But they live in the township and they're paying earned income tax. So we may want to look at a different way to incentivize that. So I'll get something out to you guys in the next week with that information so that we can maybe start that conversation before the next budget season.
Yeah, so a really good conversation. Thank you. Anything else? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Freedom Valley Medical Rescue, did they submit a report, Joe? We will seek that out. Upon receipt, we'll make it available for review. Communications Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The last January meeting, we had some illnesses with our committee members and could not get a quorum. So we will be having our reorganization meeting here on February 21st, it's indicated at the bottom as well, 7:30 p.m. We're going to continue to work on welcome brochures that we have an idea that we've been looking at. I know I've discussed it with amongst you guys personally and send it to the board. It's a great way to welcome residents.
Hopefully everybody's healthier this time.
Sounds good.
A special thank you to Holly. Holly did come here at night. I would say Holly was here. I was here. We weren't expecting that, but I appreciate the cover.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Very good. Recreation Authority did not meet in January, as typically golf is not played much in the winter time, as we all know. However, I heard that they had a banner January in spite of that. And play continues. So we have our next meeting on February 22nd. We'll report out on how we did in January, but by all accounts, we're doing very well. Number 5, unfinished business. Ordinance 2024-01, the RO Residential Office District Amendments, consideration to adopt. Any discussion here?
I mean, I would like to say,
Well, before you,
please.
I think you have to open the hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, we can
We'll pass
open
it
up,
to you.
sure, we'll open up a hearing on ordinance 2024-01, which is the RO Residential Office District Amendments. Just by way of brief background, this was an amendment to the zoning ordinance that was initially proposed by a property owner. As a result of that proposal, it generated comments from the Montgomery County Planning Commission and also from our township engineer. As a result of those comments, the proposed amendments turned into more than that was initially proposed by the property owner. And that's what you have before you this evening. Essentially, they boil down to, 4 main points, I would say, before we open it up for some discussion. One, there are a series of amendments that make the reference to the bank, savings and loan and credit union use in the zoning ordinance consistent throughout all of the districts. A second point in these amendments is that use, that bank, savings and loan and credit union use is added as a class 3 conditional use in the RO district. Third key amendment, that use, that class 3 conditional use is permitted on corner lot, and corner lots are now permitted to have a secondary access point, whereas previously they were only allowed to have one access point. And then there are a series of amendments that essentially clarify existing regulations related to shared access requirements. But it doesn't necessarily change the basic requirement today, which is that if there's shared access available, you have to use it. If it's not available to you, then you essentially have to provide for it in the future. So that's a quick summary of these amendments. And then if there's any discussion or questions or comments from the board, we can go ahead and take those now.
But thank you, gentlemen. I know I made a case last time. I feel like we have an opportunity to stop setting a precedent. The argument has been that we need to update our zoning or, our zoning regulations. We can do that. We can do it from outside entities. We can do it different ways. Just a couple things that I don't know if everybody knew here as well, but again, this plan was submitted. I don't know if anybody watched the planning commission meeting, but this plan was submitted in December at our planning commission meeting. Now, after we did approve the advertisement, but we didn't approve the amendment. They went ahead and had a 22-minute discussion because it says, as it was said, it was in a holding pattern as to what it is. The developer was so confident. I was also said that Chase Bank has signed a lease already. Currently, we don't allow banks. They're already that confident. I'm not going to sign a lease for something unless I know I'm getting it. And I think that's the precedent that we have. We have an opportunity to not do it this way. I think we can relook over our whole zoning ordinance. This is the 5th time. This has happened since I've been on the board. Each time I proposed this idea. It's not the first time with this developer, this property owner as well. And I think I don't want to get redundant. I think I made my case. I hope you had an opportunity to read what I printed out there. I really feel strongly that we can do this. There's also some concerns from the Montgomery County Planning Commission on not just the bank, but the driveway access controls. They recommended a revision, subsection GB. I don't know if everybody had an opportunity to see that, but I do have that as well. I feel very strongly that it's not appropriate. I don't think it was appropriate for the township to entertain. The first conditional use we had was sent back, said, no, I'm sorry, we don't do this. The next one, it was in discussion. The plans are laid out pending this passage. It hasn't passed. I don't think it's appropriate to do it this way. And again, that's my thoughts. I appreciate it. And I hope that this board feels the same way and we can stop this precedent.
Any other thoughts, comments?
Well, I see what you're saying, Kevin. I understand completely. And I'm not for, willy-nilly changing zoning ordinances. I do, and I don't want to go through a complete revamp of the entire zoning, through the county or some other outside entity. I think that's why we're here. What they're proposing here, I think, would make that district a little better. I don't think we're saying, okay, great, put an amusement park there. It's not that people aren't going to want. I mean, a bank is something that we need in the area, it's not something I think that's offensive or it shouldn't be in that district. So that's why I don't think it's a big deal to change in this case. I mean, we're not going to go ahead and change just because some contractor wants us to. I think it's not a horrible stretch to put this into the RO district, the banks. That's what.
Just to follow up on Dave's comment, I think when you look at a situation like that, there are a lot of different ways to look at changing zoning and how we look at planning in the community. For me, looking at the RO zoning district, there are uses that have a greater impact, that have a greater nuisance value, that have other larger impacts on the community and than the bank use. So we're adding a use that is less impactful than several other uses that are already permitted either by conditional use or by right. So I don't think that in any way we're changing the character of the neighborhood or changing the character of the community by doing this. We're just providing another option. As far as the rest of the ordinance is concerned, to me, having read that ordinance several different times, it's a clarification of several internal conflicts within that ordinance, that in one area it did not permit two accesses for a corner lot, but then in another area, it actually spoke to maybe needing two accesses, and it was very confusing and it needed to be cleaned up. So I think this is a really minor ordinance amendment. I appreciate your comments overall, and I know we're trying to work towards that. I had a discussion with you about possibly working on a committee to try to do something more proactive in that way, and we can continue that discussion in a larger context later.
Again, I appreciate it, but I do feel like where we draw the line. What if a resident wants something, or, again, I can't blame the developer. And this is the way that it seems to operate.
Well, actually, it's a right they have to come in and petition this board to do exactly this. This is not something that's out of the ordinary across the county or under the MPC. They have a right to petition this board when they see something, because they are the real property owners and they have a vested interest in this as well. We have the right to say no, we have the right not even to consider it, or we can take it in good faith and attempt to see if it makes sense for the community. And that's what we're elected to do, is make those decisions on behalf of the community, in my opinion.
I feel it's an inappropriate way to do it. I think we do need to do it. We need to look them over. Again, I'm all for committee, as I've been saying all along, but I can't pick and choose this way. I think that's right for us to say, oh, well, you know what, we'll do this one. Then the next person comes, no, we don't want this one. And again, for the obviously the plan laid out, they submitted these in December. The PC meeting was January. They seemed pretty certain that this was going to pass. I know, I haven't made a decision. I'm still open for a conversation here, although I made it obvious that I feel it's inappropriate. I didn't make a decision, yet they feel, here we go. It's just, again, I'm getting redundant, but I think that we're making a mistake doing it in this fast.
Understood.
Any other comment? No further consideration? We close the hearing. With that, we'll close. We'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2024-01.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Ayes have it. Moving on, new business. Ordinance 2024-02, which is a signed ordinance amendment, authorization to advertise.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to authorize the advertising of the ordinance as presented with one amendment under section 3(1)15. Deals with the signs that exhibit statements, words, or pictures of obscene or pornographic subjects as determined by Lower Southwood Township. I would ask that last line be amended to read as determined by the Lower Southwood Township Board of Supervisors. Otherwise, I'd be willing to advertise it as presented.
Any other questions or
I need a
comments?
second on that.
I'll make the second on that. I'm in favor of that as well. I don't think it's fair to put the township employees in a position to have to make a judgment on whether it's appropriate or not, so. I'll second it.
I agree. I think it's a touchy issue, as we all discussed. It's not something that, we want to make it a theme, but hopefully this would be a better way to solve that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next up, resolution 2024-04, adopting the sewage facilities plan revision. This is for a pump station. Amendment to the Act 537.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve resolution 2024-04 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next up, resolution 2024-05, authorizing the submission of a grant application for the 2024 round of the Montco 2040 Implementation Grant Program. Holy cow, that was. This is seeking grant monies to do improvements in the township. The sidewalk project, right? Yeah. Do I
Which
have
is a high priority from our Trails Committee, I believe. correct?
Indeed it is, my friend.
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on. 2024 bituminous pavement base repair contract authorization to advertise.
Easy for you to say, so move.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And finally, the 2024 pavement markings contract. This would be a joint contract with our friends at Franconia Township. Authorization to advertise.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Which brings us to our second public discussion period of the evening, where we once again open the floor to anyone wishing to be recognized.
Our public just left.
I know, they ran at it, scared them. All right, hearing none, Mr. Jakowski, do we have need for an executive session this evening? Very good, then I will pass this over to our esteemed colleague, Mr. Pearlstein, for an adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
So moved, so ordered. Thank you. Thanks for coming out. Michael. I'm with you, brother.